Have you ever looked at your own hands and felt as if they belonged to someone else? Have you ever walked through a familiar room and suddenly felt like a visitor in your own life? As if a thin sheet of glass had appeared between you and reality. As if the world was still there, but somehow farther away. Most people experience this and immediately become frightened, because nobody talks about what happens when your old way of seeing reality begins to loosen. When the mind reaches for certainty and finds only questions. Tonight, I want to explore something few people discuss honestly. The strange territory between derealization and spiritual awakening. Because from the outside, it can feel remarkably similar. Yet they are not the same journey. And understanding the difference may change the way you see your experience forever. Many people describe a moment when the world suddenly feels unreal. Colors seem different. Time feels distorted. Conversations sound distant. Life appears dreamlike. Psychologically, this can feel deeply unsettling. Spiritually, many interpret it as the collapse of an old framework. Not because reality is disappearing, but because the assumptions through which you viewed reality are beginning to shift. The first sign is a feeling of distance from your surroundings. You may look around and feel disconnected from everything you once knew. The streets are the same, the faces are the same, your routine is the same, yet something feels altered. Psychologically, this can arise when the mind becomes overwhelmed or enters a protective state. Symbolically, many spiritual traditions view this experience as the loosening of identification. The old certainty of "this is who I am" begins to crack. And for the first time, you glimpse the possibility that you are more than the roles you've been playing. The second sign is the sensation of watching yourself, almost like observing your life from a distance. You hear your own voice. You perform your daily tasks. Yet part of you stands quietly in the background, witnessing. This can feel disturbing when it first appears. But symbolically, it resembles the emergence of the observer. The silent awareness that notices thoughts without becoming them. The part of you that remains present even when everything else changes. The third sign is emotional numbness. Moments that should affect you deeply seem strangely muted. You know you care, yet you cannot fully reach the feeling. Psychologically, this can be a response to stress or emotional overload. Spiritually, many people interpret it as a transitional space, not the absence of feeling, but the dismantling of emotional patterns that once defined you. Like a forest after a fire, empty, quiet, yet preparing for new growth. The fourth sign is a growing sensitivity to energy and atmosphere. Crowded places feel heavier. Certain people exhaust you. Silence becomes more attractive than noise. You begin noticing things you once ignored. The mood of a room. The tension beneath a conversation. The unspoken emotions beneath a smile. Whether viewed psychologically or spiritually, your awareness is becoming more refined. The volume of perception has been turned up, and what once remained hidden now enters your field of awareness. The fifth sign is the feeling that your old life no longer fits. You may wake up one morning and realize you have outgrown entire versions of yourself. Old ambitions, old fears, old definitions of success. What once felt meaningful now feels strangely empty. This is often one of the most painful stages, because the old identity is dissolving before the new one has fully emerged. You stand between worlds. No longer who you were, not yet who you were becoming. The sixth sign is an unusual relationship with time. Days blur together, moments stretch, weeks disappear. You feel simultaneously ancient and newborn. Psychologically, major life transitions can alter our perception of time. Spiritually, many describe this as stepping outside familiar patterns. The clock continues moving, yet something deeper begins measuring life differently, not by schedules, but by awareness. The seventh sign is a quiet longing you cannot explain. A feeling that something important is calling you, not a place. Not a person, not an achievement. Something deeper. A homesickness for a place you've never been. A memory that feels older than memory. A whisper that says there is more. This longing is often misunderstood. People try to satisfy it with distractions, with constant activity, with endless searching. Yet it remains because its purpose is not to be silenced. Its purpose is to guide. This is where the difference becomes important. Derealization often leaves a person trapped in fear. Awakening invites curiosity. Derealization says reality is slipping away. Awakening asks whether reality is deeper than you imagined. One contracts, the other expands, one isolates. The other slowly reconnects, not necessarily to the world you knew, but to a more authentic relationship with it. The challenge is that the doorway can feel similar. Both experiences may involve uncertainty. Both may involve disorientation. Both may involve profound questioning. That is why gentleness matters, grounding matters, presence matters. The goal is not to escape reality. The goal is to meet reality more fully. Perhaps what you're experiencing is not a sign that something is wrong. Perhaps it is a sign that something old is ending, a belief, a mask, a survival strategy, a version of yourself that carried you this far but can go no further. The pressure you feel may be the shell beginning to crack. The confusion may be the fog before clarity. The emptiness may be making room for something real. You are not losing yourself. You are discovering which parts were never truly you. And that process is rarely comfortable, but it is sacred. Because every awakening begins with a question. Every transformation begins with uncertainty. Every rebirth begins with the dissolution of what came before. So if reality feels different lately, pause, listen, pay attention. There may be wisdom hidden inside the discomfort. There may be truth beneath the confusion. And there may be a version of you waiting on the other side of this threshold. If this message found you at the right moment, leave the word threshold in the comments below. Subscribe for more spiritual awakening insights. And remember, not every strange experience is a sign of losing yourself. Sometimes it is the beginning of finally meeting yourself.